We are starting a new chapter. It's chapter 2, and we're going to be working with percents. And percents are everywhere in real life. They're in sales. They are in your home, getting financed, getting credit cards, right? You see percents everywhere. So today, I'm going to give you an introduction, and then we're going to go into lesson 1. So this is our essential question is how can percents help you understand situations involving money? So think about when you see percents, how can it help you if you know how percents are used or how they work? Okay. And we'll be discussing this during the rest of the chapter also. So we're going to go on with how to use percents. So previously, we're going to be connecting things that we have already learned. So we've used equivalent forms of fractions, decimals, and percents to solve problems. Now we're going to solve problems involving percent of change. We might not get to this year, but we'll be doing sales tax, tips, discounts, markups. I'm not sure we're going to get to simple interest this year, but possibly simple interest. So here's our different lessons. So in lesson 1, what we're going to be doing today is percent of a number. We're going to do the percent equations, sales tax, tips, and markup, and then discount. Let's go on to the next slide. So let's get on to this lesson. So percent of a number, this is day 1. So let's get started. So what is a percent? So a percent is a part of 100. It can be written as a fraction with a denominator of 100, or it can be written as a decimal. So how can we write 5%, 89%, and 125% both ways? So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to write the 5% both ways first. So I'm going to write 5% here. And to write it as a fraction, so I'm going to put fraction here, and then I'm going to put decimal. As a fraction, this means it's 5 out of 100. Super duper simple. You can simplify this too. So if you divide by 5, that would give you 1/20. Okay? For your decimal, how you can do the decimal is if you put in your calculator 5 divided by 100, you would get, or you can move the decimal over. So there's 2 ways to do it. So if you do 5 divided by 100, you would get 0.05. Or the other thing that you can do is show your work by moving the decimal. So that really there's like an invisible decimal here, and you move it twice because it is 100. So when you move it once, it's being divided by 10, right? And then if you divide it by another 10, that would be 100. And that's where you put the decimal, okay? So that's kind of just the trick, is to move the decimal over twice. So those are the 2 ways to do that one. So let's go ahead and do the 89%. So the 89%, to write it as a fraction, would just be 89 out of 100. Super duper easy. Or we can do it the other way where decimal. I like the decimal best most of the time. You just move that over and then you get rid of the percent sign. We did this last year. So you have 0.89. And these are all equal to each other. Well, this one's equal when it has the percent, right? 89% is equal to 89 out of 100, which is also equal to 89 hundredths with a decimal. Let's do the last one. Let's do purple. So I have 125%, and that is equal to 125 out of 100. So that is greater than 1. So when you have something over 100, it's greater than 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and write it as a decimal. So same thing, I'm going to take this 125, I'm going to write it over here. So 125, I get rid of the percent, and I move my decimal twice. So it is greater than 1 if I put it here. So my decimal will be 1.25. And these are all equal. All right. Let's go on to the next step. So now we need to find the percent of a number. The word of right here, when it says percent of a number, it means to multiply in this case. So to find the percent of a number, multiply the percent times that number. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into an example. So here's my example. I have 5% of 300. Well, what operation do we use if we're using this of? It's going to be multiplication. Okay, so really what I have to do is I have to change my decimal. So the first step here to find this is change the percent into a decimal. So I have 5%, and I'm going to make, or a fraction. And I'm going to change this to a decimal first. This is my decimal method. So I'm going to move it twice over. So 5% is 0.05. And then it says, up at the top, it says of 300. So I'm going to include that. So I'm going to multiply that times 300. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to type in 0.05 times 300 and I get 15. Okay. So 5% of 300 is 15. Let's do the fraction method. So I'm going to change this 5% into a fraction. This means 5 out of 100. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take the 5%. So it's 5% of 300, right? This 5% is 5 out of 100. Of means to multiply, and then we're going to multiply by 300. Well, I'm going to make that over 1, okay? It makes it a little bit more simple when we do that. So we have 300 divided by 100. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify that, and that would just be 3. So then I have 5 times 3, which is 15. And we get the same answer on both sides. So we're going to use the table. If 275 students took the survey, how many can be expected to have 3 TVs each in their house? So we're going to look at this table here. So we know that there's a total of 275 students. And we're looking at the number of TVs in the house, which is 3, right? So we have 23% of the people that have 3 TVs in their house. Well, if it was out of 275 students, we have to figure out, well, how many students have 3 TVs in their house? So we are going to first write this as, I want to take 23% of